Well, Benny, we texted recently. You tell me, do you go? Oh God, something in the news regarding Tourette's. I'm about to get 100 texts asking me questions about every which thing. Or is it exciting to be like, I can? Is it fun to educate people? Is it annoying? What is it? What's your when you first heard this situation at the BAFTA? Do you go, ooh, I got some jokes for this? Or do you go, oh, fuck?
Oh, man. Well, actually, this is a bit of a roller coaster because I thought people knew more than they did. Like, I actually kind of thought a lot of this conversation was already done. Yeah. Like, I thought Tourette's awareness was, like, fully in the culture and people knew that you curse uncontrollably. And what if you have the cursing type, coprolalia, like John Davidson does, like I also have. But I guess... So it was really disheartening pretty quickly. I was initially kind of like, this is just interesting news. And then it very quickly kept going for a while. I was disheartened by people not knowing about Tourette's sort of at all. And also having like really intense responses back. That I think that the intense response to hearing the N-word yelled at the BAFTAs is like absolutely valid and like for sure. But then like I think there's a lot of misplaced energy from that at Tourette syndrome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really hard. I think especially to like get mad at an organization. Like we should get a name of the editor who made the decision to not keep it. I'm joking to a degree, but I'm saying like. It's hard to like wrap your rage around BBC. What does that mean?
Right.
Who are you mad at? Who's being held accountable?
The editors they save it to a soundboard and they like add reverb or something. That's right.
Yeah.
No,
because
I'm not. If we was like an actual editor doing like crazy stuff, but because John Davison was told that he wouldn't be mic'd, and he sat near the back, and he was told it would be edited out. And then they kept that in, and like he left the room and everything. I'm sure you all. I don't. There's been so much discourse. It's like I don't think I have to. Like, what new thing is there to say?
Sure. I guess.
But I'll
I
try.
guess like. No, but it's everyone has like a million different things, and everyone is like frustrated about the lack of apology, the apology. First of all, as if anyone's ever apologized in this contemporary society. We went. Okay, good. Something was rectified. But first, I guess I have a question because as you said about like seated in the back, not mic'd, like in your mind, like is it fine, to say because people would go, yes, seated back in a different room, and then we go into a whole different thing. But they tried to accommodate given the circumstances.
Yeah.
And I don't know if some people are conspiracy minded. I just think it's incompetence always.
I think that mic was like to hear the crowd. I think like he probably wasn't personally mic'd, but there was maybe a mic near enough. I don't know.
But it would be funny if they're just setting him up. And he's like, "What is going on? This is a bad."
There's like a boom mic near. Yeah.
But I think there's like. Because I love talking to you about comedy. I do think
we
could both be accused of being self-righteous leaning. Ha! Would you agree?
Yeah, I do think
we could be accused.
Yeah, I only got that yesterday. I mean, I think somebody was like, "Oh, Benny Feldman's posting another version of that thing where he's mad at people who it's like anything I disagree with is not funny," is like the quote tweet on something I just did. So I don't know. I think
what's the tweet? I like this tweet because you do post it, but it's. By the way, when people say you already tweeted this, yeah, I guess that's comedians do. We go on stage and we say the same joke to different audiences. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Well, this one I've done a series where it's like the intro is it's just a joke, and then the ending is different things within that space where I make fun of the idea of it's just a joke. So this one I think was a little weirder, and I'm not gonna remember the wording right off the top of my head, but it's just a joke. I'm just kidding, dude. Information has no structure. Ideas don't touch reality. And like, but some of the more clear ones I've done have been like, hold on, a little bit of little frog in my throat. It's just a joke, dude. Speech,
I'm glad that order came in.
yeah. Speech doesn't communicate ideas. Or wait, no. Yeah, it's just a joke. It's just a form of speech. Speech doesn't communicate ideas. And I feel like some of those ones are making it clear that obviously jokes have meaning. I think you've been one of the other people who have been very, very vocal about this, and also like Jay Jordan. And I think like, I think we're kind of forming a little camp of people who know that jokes
who comedians don't like.
which I specifically like the Austin scene. You mean?
Yeah. It's kind of this. It's like it's this mix of like it's just a joke. I think a lot of times it's almost the inverse, where it's like jokes are a reflection of just where society's at, and it can be a crystallization of a popular strain of thought that you can talk about that. And I think what gets conflated sometimes is you focus on like the one person who said the crystallization of a gigantic group of people's thing, but that's a way to engage in dialogue about the thing itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's but I think it's also like jokes at like even a micro level where like I would try to think of like a really clear cut example where it's like people are like, oh, it's just a joke, and if it's like if I say like you look like a beached whale or something, it's like I'm calling you ugly and fat. You know what I mean? It's like you know what I mean? There's no, and I'm trying to just use like really blatantly obvious example. I don't think that that person being ugly and fat is necessarily a popular idea that's just got crystallized as much as a specific dunk or like, but it's like that person saying that might mean it, or it's like in the context of like if you say like quiet piggy, you might be doing irony where you're making fun of like Trump for having said that. So it's like irony in context does change the meaning, but it never removes the meaning entirely. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I felt like with this whole BAFTA thing, it is one of those surprising things at the whoa, that's there, because I feel like the 90s happened, and that's when I was much younger, but I remember that's when the concept of this got introduced, and I was like, I remember there being jokes about Tourette's in the 90s and that sort of thing.
What happened in the 90s? Was there like
I don't know. I just felt like that's when there was a little more awareness around it, so that it was a common joke people would make about like they would a punchline would be like they'd say something offensive and then they'd be like, sorry, I have Tourette's.
Yeah,
like,
SNL just did SNL just did that sketch, and I was like, I've heard that joke so many goddamn times. Yeah. Cause like,
So that's what's shocking. And you're like, if you're saying like, oh, we're just joking, you're like, but like in a room full of people, and the joke is if he had said that here, we'd beat the shit out of him. You're like, you're all saying we don't believe that's real. We don't believe you're real. We don't believe this thing is real. That at the core of it, that's what that is. So it was shocking to be like, wait, what? I thought we had done this whole dance already in the 90s. Why are we doing it again? Like yeah. Anyways.
No, absolutely.
And is there any argument? Because like obviously I always try to like, whenever someone's or people are mad at you or annoyed at you, I desperately try to do the thing where I'm like, don't just go fuck you. Like if someone says, wow, your thought on this reveals your true colors and you're a racist, you go, okay, let's try to take in what's being said, and instead of just but so like and I don't mean to use the term devil's advocate. There's got to be a better version of this. But is there a certain degree of saying like, okay, this awful thing, this awful situation happened. The worst word, especially we all understand the context, and it's said to like two beloved black actors. It's aired on TV for millions of people. Everyone's seeing this. Circumstances aside, it's just awful, and like you need to address it, especially if you're like hosting the NAACP awards, and there's a degree of like wanting to diffuse tension to just like recognize, get off your chest, and comedically maybe be transgressive or flippant or just like, fuck. Like, and again, I'm not stating this is my opinion. I'm trying to like consider the degree of like, does comedy not do this a lot? I always think, well, it's just a lazy joke.
Yeah.
It's just it's not even, some people I'm sure
boring.
have hate in their hearts. Sometimes it's just lazy, and laziness is next to basic thought, being like, well, fuck that. If you have to, well, we
It's
would
the
have.
first thought. It's the first thought. It's just right there. You didn't. Yeah. There's nothing else.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
It seems like they weren't in the discourse, maybe too. Like, if you had read anything online, you would have seen that said over and over and over again. So I think that like the person that made that joke just missed that element. Was it Deion Cole?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paige, could you just pull up the exact wording? Because I just want to make sure it's not, because like there's conflating with something someone else said, so it's just like what it is. And there's a degree where I go, listen, I just love comedy. I love talking shit. To my own fault, I think I look at things less in a moral perspective and more in a comedic perspective. I just think they're closer to each other than you would think.
People, ooh, blues. Yeah, people think that they're like completely separate entirely.
Yeah.
Like, people think that they're completely unrelated. Trying to not lose my voice. Check out that frog.
Oh, good.
Chugging a frog. But yeah, let's see. Okay, so basically on Twitter, I won the war, and then on Threads, I lost the war.
That's by the way, that was a similar thing. I said I've never heard this before. I'm getting roasted on Black Threads.
Yeah, I got really.
I didn't even know this. The social media landscape has shifted.
I think what I'll own up to and I'll apologize for on my end is basically like I came out kind of staunchly like he doesn't need to apologize. Like I was like he has Tourette's or whatever. Like but then like very quickly like the arguments were like, well, like pretty clear, like intent is not as important as impact. And they were like, well, wouldn't you apologize? And I was like, well, I literally like have, like when I've had like a slur Tourette's take, I've apologized. So I've been like, oh, that's an interesting thing. Is like, yes. And so I pretty quickly came to the idea of like, oh, damn, maybe he should apologize. I don't know. And then it turns out he did. And in his apology, he split it pretty clearly. And he was like, I will never apologize for having Tourette's, but I will absolutely apologize for like the harm and impact of the words. And I was like, oh, of course. Well, he's had a long time to think about it. He nailed it, dude. And I'm like, that's the correct answer. You know what I mean?
And
like,
that's where
you can split your apology.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where it gets so. That's where then the discourse is lost, because then it goes, well. Now people haven't heard the apology because that doesn't go viral. People are like, yo, you see that crazy apology?
Those go viral if they're bad. If someone goes,
I mean,
"No,
honestly,
snap
No
apology,"
one's
It
ever
would've-
been like,
it-
you've seen that masterful apology? Yeah.
It would have gone viral if he had filmed it and in the middle of the apology he said the word. Then people would have been like, "Oh, okay, wow." It's just a constantly evolving apology.
But people straight up thought that to simply know the N-word was racist. So I guess
I mean, that's the one where you go, wow, I don't know what to even say. And
Yeah.
what was your
your
reply to that?
Somebody was like they were trying heavily to imply that I must have learned the N-word like out of racism. So I basically like replied. I was like, are you trying to imply that I willed myself to learn the N-word out of sheer racism? And that was my main thing that went around online. Yep.
Paige, can you just read the exact I want to make sure it's the exact wording of what it was.
Yeah, Deion Cole's joke.
Yeah.
Okay, Cole.
Throw
finished
in
bit-
the Nicki Minaj one in there too, just because I did like that
Oh, I
one.
gotta hear her.
I'm joking,
right.
Paige. No, Paige.
I was like, there's no Nicki Minaj.
I'm seated. Okay, he said, Lord, if there are any white men out here in the audience with Tourette's, I advise you to tell them they better read the room tonight.
Right. Did he? Yeah, there's a follow up to that. He said, I thought he said more than that, a little bit. Like, with the room tonight, like, or else something.
It might not go as you thinketh. I believe.
Something like that. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Variety did not include that in their article.
Variety, you got to include the full joke.
Variety.
Variety, don't cherry pick.
Interesting.
It's just a thing of like, again, I just think if you don't ever critique art or talk about art, it just doesn't get better, or like this is part of it. I don't know. There's such an automatic like, hey, shut up, or like just it's a joke, or it's just like,
Well,
but how does
It also speaks to this kind of crazy thing of being like, we're gonna award this movie because of this story and of this person, and the moment it becomes real in life, you're like, oh, never mind, get it away. It was fine on my screen. It was fine dealing with it in a very ethereal way of, but then when you have to like deal with like, there's a real thing, a real person, it's like, oh, I don't actually want to deal with this. I actually don't want to take that on, get it. I just feel like that's you see that a lot in I feel like in films and TV, and it's just an example of that. I feel like.
yeah.
I think well, in a bit of a good way, I do think that a lot of this whole situation has largely just been ignorance and people not knowing stuff and stuff not coming out yet. And like, a lot of black people online, especially on Threads, informed me and let me know different stuff. And I'm like, got it. Okay, that changed my perspective. All right, they are owed an apology at this moment. Oh, good, he did. Or, you know what I mean? What I think is the thing is like this idea of criticizing jokes and it being very important to criticize other comedians. There's a lot of comedians who I think are not funny. However, I think that the criticism is really best reserved for people who I can safely say are doing it out of malice or are being grifters. Where it's like, if we look at like our old dear punching bag boy Tony Hinchcliffe, it's like we can see that he materially supported Trump. He supported those policies. We know his jokes are regressive. Whereas we look at like Deion Cole in this moment, and it's like that is a regressive joke. But I also think that he probably got a lot of immediate flack for that, and like I assume he's progressive enough that like I don't know. I mean, this is worth criticizing a little bit, but it's also like I don't know. I think that like also as three white boys,
Of course,
I am like but also I think that's I'll come back to that. I'll touch on that briefly.
Yeah, no, I know. There's so many. This really does touch on a lot of things all at once. But I think the other troubling thing about it is like, I think to your point, like in terms of like crimes, whether it's a long grift or just a bad joke, the problem is you can't control on the internet like the weight of the punishment or the criticism. So it can be hard to be like, hey, that joke sucked. We can move on.
Yeah.
Or, that doesn't mean I can't, and that's, you just lose that on the internet. But then at the same time, that doesn't mean you can't ever say anything in critique or be like, that sucked.
I'm trying to do general critique, which is where it's like, I do all those, it's just a joke stuff. And then that way it's like, I'm kind of setting up minds, or I'm giving people the tools and the weapons they need. I'm a weapons manufacturer in the culture war. Sometimes I think of it as that way. It's kind of stupid. It's maybe not the best to think of it as a war, but for their like shitty coworker or whatever, or their like their partners, their friend's partner or their brother or whatever, and they want to argue with them. The next time some shitty person makes like a joke that sucks, then they can go, well, jokes have meaning X, Y, Z. You know what I mean? So I do these, general critiques, hoping to flip people's mind. You know what I mean? But I think if you go too hard in on some specific moment, emotions and ego get attached to that. You know what I mean? People are like, oh, but I watch Kill Tony all the time. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know on Kill Tony. But, you know what I mean? Like us right now trying to criticize Deion Cole, nobody's gonna. Unless they already agree with us, we're not. I don't know if we're gonna get anybody to change their mind there. You know what I mean? But it's I don't know. But Kill Tony, I think we could flip some middle people. What?
Do you ever? Is there an irony to? Because we talked on your last episode about a late night show that it just, they wouldn't have you on
Oh, sure.
in this context. And in a
Lily
way, is
Singh.
there...
No, sorry. Okay.
Is there any
Jimmy
absurd irony? Is there any absurd irony that like they wouldn't have you on a lot of mainstream traditional networks, but you and I both know Kill Tony would have you on tomorrow.
Oh, true. Well, Jimmy
They would.
Fallon, they said they would have me on, but I would be in the back and not mic'd.
You're listening to The Downside
The Downside.
with Gianmarco Soresi.